From the WATS application start page, you have access to the three different modules of the application. Reporting is where you find reports, dashboards, and tools for monitoring and analyzing your test data. In the operator interface, your operators can interact with WATS during production. This includes access to device history, performing manual tests and inspections, box building, as well as repair operations. And finally, the control panel is where you set up and configure your system. Above these three icons, you can find a list of all your favorite reports and dashboards. And below, you can find access to resources and documentation. In the top right corner, you will find a user menu where you can access your user settings. You have a documentation menu where you have access to in-app documentation, the online help center, and also the web API documentation. The notification icon will display any important notifications such as updates or warnings. And in the top left corner, you have the main menu with access to the same modules, the reporting, the operator interface, control panel, and back to this start page, and also your favorites. And finally, there is a search bar in the middle of your screen on the top, giving you access to both application features as well as online help articles to read about how to use these features. In the reporting module, a menu to the left lets you choose the options root cause, which is a ticketing system where you can assign and collaborate with your coworkers on solving production issues. You have the dashboards, which are great for continuous monitoring and visualization of your test performance. And on top, it's the reports. This menu can be pinned and unpinned, and when you enter the reporting module, your default starting report or dashboard will be loaded automatically. And this can be configured in the user settings. And in my case, this is the yield report. Every report and dashboard has the option to enter filter parameters, and filters help you narrow down the target data for your analysis. In this report, yield report, you can filter based on the following parameters. You have the product groups, which are predefined groups of product. You have the organizational levels, which are defined levels such as countries, factories, production lines, and so on. You have the possibility to filter based on part number, batch number, or station name. And in this case, these are text filter parameters, and they also support wildcards. So you could use either percentage or star, which are interchangeable and both mean any number of any characters. And you can use the question mark or the underscore, which both mean one instance of any character. You can also use semicolon to enter series of data, and that is also implemented with the copy and paste functionality, so I can multi-select a range of data from a grid, press Ctrl+C to copy it, and paste it in as a series in the filter. In addition, you have a max results and a minimum results that let you reduce the number of the amount of data uploaded. And you can choose from a list of test operations to only look at certain test operations. And of course, you can filter based on date and time. And for date and time, the default filter is set to the last 30 days of data. And that can also be set in My Settings on the user menu. Depending on which report you are displaying, a series of grids and charts will be displayed. And in the grid, you can sort any column by using the sorting arrows. And you can reorganize the column order by dragging and dropping. You can also use the column options to hide or show different columns. And you can utilize the grouping row by dragging a column header into the grouping row. You will group by one or more columns. In this case, test operations. Then I can expand and collapse the grids. In addition, you have the ability to export the grid to CSV, TSV, or Excel. and you can add the grid directly to an existing or to a new dashboard. And for every grid line, you will see one or more action buttons. And in this case, we have the action button where you can drill into other reports. So if I want to inspect this line of data in depth or in another view, I can click this action button, which will bring up a list of all available reports. And if I want to look at this product, for instance, over time, I can use the periodic yield report. And by clicking that, I will bring along the parameters from that row and load the periodic yield report. And as you can see, the filter is slightly different here. Among others, you have a new filter option called period grouping, which is by default set to month. I can change this to day and reapply the filter, and this will give me daily yield metrics for this product. You can also see that this grid is slightly different in that it has an icon to expand and collapse the grid to reveal the underlying data. And in this case, it's a one-to-one relation because we are filtering based on this part number. If I change this to a more generic filter, for instance, all part numbers starting with 2, and we apply the filter, you will see that every date will consist of more than one product number. This grid also has a second action icon, the matrix view icon, which will open a grid containing all records that make up the metrics for this row. Scrolling down below the grid, you will see a bar chart. And in this bar chart, you will see bars representing the volume of testing and lines representing the yield metrics. The chart options lets you configure how the chart is displayed and also show hide different metrics. The chart also allows for drilling by simply clicking any chart element that will bring up the drill down menu, and you can drill from this report into a different report. Next up, the dashboards. When clicking the dashboard icon, this will show a list of available dashboards. The public ones are on top, available for everyone to see, and your private ones below. If I select one dashboard, it will load. And just like the reports, these dashboards are based on a filter, and the filter is reduced to a toolbar in the top right corner where you have quick filter for days. I can look at 1, 7, 30 days. I can also configure this with different periods if I like. I have a drop down for my product groups and my levels, and I have a drop down for different filter parameters. So I can go ahead here and filter the dashboard in detail.